Investigating an offense triggered by event. Let's start with the offense overview. So what's an offense? Let's create the basic understanding about the offense. It's an offense. An offense alerts to a suspicious activity and links to helpful information to investigate it, right? When you go one stage up, talking from security standpoint, when the logs are important enough, right, they become events. Now, when the events are important enough, they become an offense, and then in the offense you raise it to an incident. Again, one chain, so just write it down somewhere so that you have it in your memory, how information is described differently at different stage into SIEM. This is relevant to SIEM, very relevant to QRadar, right? So just write it down: log, event, offense, incident. Okay, so offense is an alert to a suspicious act or an important activity which demands investigation. Okay, introduction to offense. The prime benefit of QRadar SIEM that it detects suspected attacks or policy violation and ties helpful information together into offense. How does it tie more information into offenses? Because it gets a lot of context from a lot of log sources, and then it shows a lot of data into the screen, the offense screen that you see. So we'll get to that in a bit. Some common offenses are multiple login failures. Somebody is repeatedly trying to log in with different passwords and fail. That is multiple login failure. Malware infection is coming from antivirus. That there is a suspicious software, that is a potentially unwanted software in your computer, that is malware. P2P traffic is your torrent traffic. And scanner reconnaissance. If the firewall can catch it, it can send out that somebody is trying to recon. Even if the firewall cannot catch it, then also you can have scanner reconnaissance offense fired from QRadar. I'll describe how. The basic idea is noting down all the access denied or access blocked attempts from the firewall. Okay, so firewall will simply deny the access based on the ACL. It will not do anything else, right? That data is then imported into SIEM. Now imagine if one person or one public IP is trying to connect to several internal IP of your organization, and there is no ACL for that public IP, so all the attempts are blocked. 1 attempt, 2 attempt, 3 attempt, 40 attempt, 100 attempts are blocked within 5 minutes. So what does that tell you? That tells you that they are trying to map the complete network. They're trying to ping the complete network wherever they get a connection. They know that this server is accepting connection. So that is reconnaissance. Theoretically speaking, if you go into reconnaissance, there is network sweeping, right? There is port sweeping, there is port scan, and all those things. I'm not going there, but yeah, that is one piece of information which you should know if you're going to work in SIEM. So you might see that sometime. Okay, so treat offenses as security incident and have a security analyst investigate them. Right? There'll be one more pointer based on the investigation it can prove out to be. So based on the investigation, it may prove out to be a false positive or true positive. Okay, so that begs the investigation. So start with the investigation on the offense once you see it in your dashboard, right? Okay, creating and rating offense. This is additional information that QRadar helps you tag to the offense. Once an offense is created, you can tag it, and then I am working on it, and then this is stored, packed away for some time, okay, and all those things. So once we complete this, or rather threat intelligence, of course, something that I'll show you guys in real time. I'll pull some data into QRadar from online threat intelligence, and then I'll demonstrate how this works out in our favor. You can also put in your custom list of bad IPs for your organizations that you have identified. You can also put it into QRadar manually. So the magistrate component runs on the console. Yes, we have discussed it. It maintains all the offenses along with all the other configuration data in the post-GRE SQL database. It rates each offense by its magnitude. Again, magnitude is something which we have discussed, which has the characteristics of ranging from 1 to 10, 1 being lowest and 10 being the highest. Prioritizes each offense by its relative importance. Next thing is in the dashboard. Let's just jump to a dashboard once. Let's see. Yes. Okay. Right. So top sources, here we have this IP. Offenses, here is one offense tied to it. And my offenses, most recent offenses here. But then it's not showing some data. I think it's just lagging. So anyway, you should see something like this. Most severe offenses, most recent offenses. You should see the offense name and the magnitude, right? it should be automatically put into the dashboard. I'm not sure. Maybe it's because the community edition or something. Fine, right? So all offenses, you see all the offenses here. This is something that we have just discussed for 30-35 minutes, and you see various flags being used here: protected, flagged, assigned to somebody, assigned with a note, right? And you see different types of offenses coming in, right? So see how interesting offenses these are. Worm events detected containing slapper worm, Windows SMB protection violation, multiple exploit types, multiple login failure for the same user preceded by login success would be, I think, it. And local UDP scanner detected preceded by exploit malware, right? So you see a lot of information coming in from a lot of different types of log sources. Like worm events would be coming in from the firewall, I believe. Windows SMB protection would be coming in from the Windows server. Multiple exploit malware would be coming in from the antivirus. Login failure again would be coming from the Active Directory. And local UDP scanner was again would be coming from the firewalls. Okay. So here are some interesting options. All offenses by category, by source IP, destination IP, by network, and rules. So by category is the category which you assign your rule to, right? And there are categories for offenses. So exploit, recon, access, authentication, DOS, and then there are several others. Particular offenses are bunched into their high-level category. So QRadar has this very sorted high-level and low-level categories defined in offenses, and then so that everything is so sorted that you can just go to somewhere and then click and see what is the top offense type. Like you can see here that offense count 19 is higher. By source IPs that you have categorized your top violators from source IP standpoint. Okay, you see this third source IP has three offenses attached to its name. So this here 1020 1040 is particularly special because it has talked to 3900 destinations. So I'm just giving you guys ideas about how you can start investigating your offenses into QRadar, right? So this is one way to do the fine tuning and the investigations. You just go to by source IPs in offenses and you pick the top IP which is creating the most noise, which is giving you the most offenses. So then you start investigating about it. Okay, what is hosted on this server, or if it is an endpoint, who is the owner of that endpoint, because I'm seeing a lot of traffic from it, right? And then you sort it out, you tune it out. So you have taken a big block of risk out of the organization right from the beginning. Otherwise, you can just pick this and then say, okay, you are connecting to about 4,000 people. So what is it that you are doing? Right. So these are some ideas. Otherwise, you can go to by category and then you can see what is the most offense count for a particular offense type. You see 19 into exploit, which is contributory of all these. So you go into exploit and then you see that, okay, warm active is 15. Let me just double click on this and then let's see who's contributing to this offenses. Right. So these are ideas. Of course, then you can see it by destination IPs also, and then by network. So these are the default network: net 10, 172, 192. That means either 10 range or 172 range or 192 range. This is all private. So that is why it is created into one big network by default, shipped by QRadar, because QRadar does not know what is hosted where in your network, what VLANs are used for what thing. So it just puts everything under one local network, and everything else coming in from the internet is put into others. So others would also include your public IPs unless you put it into QRadar explicitly, right? Okay. Lesson: using summary information to investigate an offense. Right, instructor demonstration of offense parameters. We have run through this, right? But I just quickly go to that place. Where is it? Yeah, offenses. Okay, by category. See this error. Show inactive categories. Okay. Right. So in the meantime, when it is loading, Nishad, did you get access to QRadar? Okay, let's load it up. You see, as I was saying that there are a lot of other categories under recon. You have these types of events. DOS has these many types of DOS here. So even if you will get to know about all these DOS alerts in general, what you do is just copy this TCP DOS and just Google it, UDP DOS, Unix DOS, Windows DOS. So you'll get to know a lot of information about cybersecurity in particular, right? So this will be a great learning for you guys. Even if you just learn the attacks here, this is a lot of attacks, okay? And then if you see object cached, but you don't know what this actually means is, so you double click on it, you'll see more details. So it will take you to your all offenses and then putting it into the filter. Low level categories, object cache. Of course, you don't have anything, you will not see anything. But then you can also go to rules and search for object cached. And I believe you should find a particular rule. Okay, let's go back to the categories. Let's just scroll through the categories once and then uh, we'll go through different things. Okay. While that is opening up, oh, sorry, please wait for one document to load. Yeah, recon, DOS, access, all the offenses related to access, ACL permit, ACL deny, all the offenses, let's say, related to malware, backdoor, virus, Trojan, spyware, hostile mail attachment, malicious software, right? You get the idea, right? The offenses are categorized and then bunched to their high level category. So this is high level category, and then this is all low level category. Okay, right. So we were discussing about high level and low level categories, and then we were discussing briefly about how offenses are bunched with source IP also. Of course, you not see information here now. So I'll put in some more information, some more logs into QRadar so that you see a lot of offenses next time when we meet, right? Also, if you guys have any log file which you want me to ingest into QRadar, just send it to me over email. Set source IP, destination IP, yes. And then by network. Of course, we have not defined the hierarchy now, the network hierarchy. So did not see anything. Yes, everything will be put into other. As I said, that one offense which is recorded is coming in from a public IP, right? So all the public IPs would be put into others. Okay, other multiple login failure, and this is the IP, and then it gives you the list of offense. Finally, then you have the rule on the last option. All right, done. Offense summary overview, something which we have gone through, right? The first section shows you the most high level of details, the description, the source IP, the destination IP, who was involved into it. Let me put it to full screen, right? So this gives you the most generic details. When you go down, it gives you more intricate details or more particular details about the offense. For instance, what were the top 5 source IPs involved, top 5 destination IPs involved, top 5 log sources, users, so on and so forth, right? Offense parameters, yes, magnitude, which is made up of 3 smaller entities: relevance, severity, and credibility, right? So relevance is how significant is the destination with respect to your organization's traffic. It could be a simple endpoint, it could be a high-end PCI enabled server, it could be a perimeter file, right? That is the relevance. What helps in defining this number is the asset database and the network hierarchy. The more defined asset database and network hierarchy you have, the more accurate relevance and severity and credibility you'll see here. So it's all the matter of how much data do you feed into your QRadar, right? So the more data you feed to QRadar, the better the model would be, or the more efficient the model would be. Severity is how high is the potential damage. Now that is calculated based on the type of event and the message that is there in the event. It could be a simple login failure, or it could be a data exfiltration message, or it could be a DOS message, right? So based on the message, severity is declared. And then credibility is how valid is the information from that source. So relevance, severity, and credibility is once decided. Credibility is the most fluid because it's very dynamic. It requires a lot of information coming in from your organization. So initially the credibility would be the most inaccurate. It will be accurate with the time. But then relevance and severity is something which you can rely on very quickly. The most accurate would be the severity because it has Mostly it has to do with the event. The relevance and credibility has to do something with the assets and network hierarchy, so that they come in handy later on. I'll also show you guys how, once this presentation ends, which will be the last unit for today, and I'll just show you how you can change event's magnitude. Okay, so offense parameters, the description, what was it, how did it happen. The status again would have relevance, credibility, and severity. The offense type is how you want to grep the offense about, right? Do you want to pivot the offense about the source IP, destination IP? What do you think would be the basis of this offense? Now, since it's excessive forward denies across multiple hosts from a local host, so from a local host, that means it should be based about the source IP, right? If this was about multiple forward denies across one destination from multiple hosts, it would be based around destination. So you are finding the key about which you can pivot this offense, right? This offense revolves around what? The most interesting key is source IP, the attacker who's trying to connect to a lot of destination, but everything is denied in the firewall. So 435 events in three categories. Now, this is what I was talking to you about. So if you want to discover 435 events, let's say in 1 minute, you cannot do it if you are running one event per second, right? Because then it will only add up to 60 events per second per minute. Okay. Other things is what networks were involved. Again, that is subject to if you have defined that network. So it will show it in a particular network. Otherwise, it will just show others or just one large subnet, which will have 10, 172, 192, everything. Okay. Who is it assigned to? Who was the user who has taken up on this offense? So it is assigned to admin, which should not be a case in real life. It should not be assigned to a generic user ID. It should be assigned to a particular analyst's user ID, because in audit we can ask then, okay, it was assigned to admin, but who was logged into admin? So we cannot provide that data then. So that is why it's not recommended that you do anything of investigation from the admin ID. You always do it from your user ID. And then, of course, if you have any vulnerabilities coming in, they'll be shown here. The magnitude, of course, there is no risk because there is no vulnerability discovered. And you can see that in location, people have not defined the VLAN. Originally, they should define 10.127.15.0/24. This subnet belongs to, let's say, Delhi region or Kerala region or AP region or whatever, right? So that information will be shown here if you have defined it. Yes. So another option which I have not talked about right now is the navigate option. Once you click on once you right click on the IP, you can navigate it by network or by source summary. Of course, this option would only be efficient if you have some network hierarchy built. And then there are some other things which I'd like to discuss, like information and run vulnerability scan is out, but then you can do plugin options. So you can do something there as well. So in information, you can use a DNS lookup. You can do a who is. You can do a port scan and map scan, right? And then you can do all those bunch of things, which we'll discuss shortly. Run vulnerability scan again. On-demand scan would be run based on, okay, if you'll take a look at the URL, it says the IP address /console/do/asset profile/QVM scan, right? So this is available only when you have QRadar vulnerability manager, right? And then fourth option, also the second point it's written that it's only available if you have QVM license. And the fourth option is plugin option. There is one plugin which is hooked up by default, which is X-Force. But then you can also include virus total and other lookup URLs here. So you have a bigger list here. So just click on this and then it will take you to virus total, and then it will automatically search for the source IP, its reputation. Of course, it's a private IP, so you would not see anything. But yeah, in public IPs cases, you should see it. Right. It also shows how many offenses in total are attached to this particular IP. This also is a very important piece of information. So it lets you know that, okay, this is a repeated offender. There are 5 or 6 or 10 offenses attached to this particular IP. I have to do something about it. Yeah. Weight is something which is associated with the IP address or the asset, right? Actually, weight is associated with the asset, and you have to define it because QRadar does not know which asset is how valuable to you. So weight is a number given from 0 to 10, and you have to particularly assign it to different assets which you think are particularly important. and then total number of events flows which contribute to this offense. That is the information here. All right. So investigating in the detail, last 5 nodes. As I said, that this is analyst area, and then they can put their custom notes on what is the update on the incident, how are they working on it. So first note is unusual traffic, second is compromised host quarantine, probably third note will be host recovered, something like that. So this gives a very good trail and very good high level understanding for the SOC manager and for the auditors, so that they can know that okay, this happened here in this particular time. So adding note is a very good habit because it gives a lot more information into the incident, and then you don't have to run back to, let's say, ServiceNow or Remedy or whatever tool you have to, or Jira, to check on the incident that you have raised to see the details. Just put the incident number here and then put the details here, so it's very easy for you later on. All right, top 5 source IPs. Again, subject to if you have defined the network, so it will show the network, all the other things. So these are just different visualizations of one particular offense, visual keying or visual representations of the information that you have seen in the offense. It helps you at different points based on the investigation. Again, this is something about destination IP. Just hover over the IP and then you'll see all this information, asset name, and all those things. It also notes the operating system, right? So see how much of data it is taking in from the events, and then building the asset profile. Top 5 log sources, top 5 users, categories. This is low level and high level category. So I believe this is all low level category. Yes, low level category of the event. Network sweep, power deny, IC response. Annotation are basically notes, which is added by QRadar itself that something is happening here. So just detail about it. All right. The summary toolbar, I have already showed you guys this. You can add notes and this and that. Right. Acting on an offense. Okay. So what action do you want to take on it? You want to take a follow-up, you want to hide it, protect it, close it, send it on an email. So the last option that you see, email, if you click on it, it can create a new email for you, and then you can send the complete offense detail on an email, right? You can add note and assign. So this is all the icons that you see once you have done something. So this is all the icons. And then this is a very important slide, guys. Please take note. Offense life cycle. When do you call an offense inactive? And there is one other term related to it, dormant, right? So newly created offense is active. You can store as many as 2,500 active offenses. It changes the status from active to dormant if the offense has not received a new event or flow in 30 minutes. Okay, and then it will change it back to active if on the 29th minute it receives a new event in the same trail, right? If the window expires, then it is changed to dormant. All right. So again, it will change it to recall when it receives an offense within the time range. Yeah. So SIM maintains up to 500 recalled offenses and then changes the status back to dormant when the offense again not received an event for 30 minutes. So 30 minutes is the first bucket or the first timer which QRadar starts when it stores an active offense. When does it become inactive? It becomes inactive under the following reasons. User has closed the offense when the offense has not received an event in 5 days. Okay, till 5 days it will be put under dormant, and then after 5 days it will become inactive. So understand the difference. As long as it is dormant, new events will be added to it, and then the same trail will go on. Once it is inactive, a new event will be created. If a rule fires, that would add an event or flow into the inactive offense. A new offense is created. That's what I was talking about, right? So QRadar SIEM deletes unprotected offenses in inactive state after the retention period elapses. Administrator can change the default retention period of 3 days, and then you can put it up to 60 days or 90 days or whatever. Right? So this slide ended now. So thank you so much joining in and hearing me out for the last